This question comes to us from N, and N writes this: Hey, WeTV, when a pastor has reached his limits, when the faithful of the congregation have pled with that pastor for him to stay despite other calls over the last 20 years, when the church that has a pastor who has served faithfully, always pointing to the Word of God and the promises of Christ, and the message continues to be ignored, how can anyone offer encouragement to the pastor who sees nothing but void and failure before him? Thanks for the help on this. And I can certainly empathize with your question, assuming that you're speaking of your own pastor who is before you, being faithful in season and out of season. So how do you respond to such a pastor? Well, I'm often reminded of Paul's words to Timothy in the pastoral epistles, where he says to young Timothy to preach the word in season and out of season. For there will be a time in a place where individuals will want to have their ears itched by having different preachers and teachers telling them what they want to hear. But this is not true for a faithful pastor such as Timothy. It's not true for faithful pastors. They are to preach regardless of what tickling ears want to hear. So how do you encourage a pastor who has had individuals in that congregation or around him who reject his message, wanting their ears tickled by something else? Well, it's simply this: telling the pastor thank you, thanking him for being faithful. Yes, thanking him for being faithful and not necessarily going the way of tickling ears. It's so easy for us as human beings to want to tickle ears, to have the results, a pragmatic result. But when it really comes down to a pastor and what makes a good pastor, is a pastor is going to be faithful to his ordination vows, faithful to the Word of God, faithful to those confessions that we hold to, those dear confessions. So I would really recommend doing two things. Number one, calling your pastor up and telling him thank you for feeding you the gospel, ministering the gospel to you personally. And then number two, telling your pastor thank you for being faithful to his ordination vows, and tell him thank you for being a good and faithful servant of Christ to those set before him, regardless of the season of the church, regardless of whether or not ears hear it or not. Thank him for being faithful.
Hey, Internet. Lightning Cuts is brought to you by Worldview Everlasting, a YouTube channel dedicated to bringing you solid, Christian, free content that is always there for you. But to make this content isn't free. That's why the Lutheran Ninja Clan pledges $5 a month to help support and push forward not only Lightning Cuts, Grappling, Worldview Everlasting Live, Double Strikes, and more, but there will be more coming down the pike in 2018. So if you haven't yet joined the Lutheran Ninja Clan, make sure you click on the link at worldvieweverlasting.com to sign up for your support today. We do need your help to keep this nonprofit ministry going. Thank you very much. Catch you soon. Rock on.